Six Nations, folks, this weekend, the final three games, the first of which sees Italy travelling to Cardiff to take on Wales. It is fifth against sixth, but Wales can finish third, depending on how things finish up. And they'll be certainly looking to put that second win on the board. The Italians, well, they're none from four. They're not expected to do much in this game, but we will see how they go. They did show some kind of promising signs towards the end of that Scotland game. We will go through the squads, the stats, predictions, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how the game may end up panning out. Now, looking at the Wales squad, Wayne Pivac has certainly decided to rotate things around a bit and give some guys chances who haven't had much game time yet, which is kind of it's a nice thing to do if you're in a position to do it. Guys who've been in the squad and not really had a lot of game time, to kind of reward them for sticking through all those training sessions and whatnot through the Six Nations. But I guess the biggest guy to have back is Alun Jones, right? Comes back and straight into the squad. A lot of talk in the press conference about how good Will Rowlands has been, and is this kind of, I don't want to say disrespectful, but is this like a punishment for him? Is this showing him his true place in the pecking order? And Wayne Pivac was keen to point out no. This is just, giving Alun Wynne a chance and giving Will Rowlands a bit of a different role this week as a finisher rather than a starter. So yeah, Alun Wynne is back in. He's straight into the second row alongside Adam Baird. Dillon Lewis and Gareth Thomas are the props. Dewi Lake gets a chance at hooker this week. They mentioned that Ryan Elias has had a niggling injury throughout the whole tournament, and they're going to kind of let him rest up. They said they could have pushed him through if kind of push came to shove, but there's no real point in doing it for this game, so they're letting him have a rest, which is responsible. Seb Davies, Josh Navidi, and Taulupe Faletau makes out the same back row as last week, and all three of those guys, you'd have to say, were pretty good in that last game against France. Gareth Davies gets a crack at 9. He's back into the 23, so he kind of benefits from Thomas Williams' concussion, which was a horrendous one, but good thing for him is he's also getting a rest. Kieran Hardy continues to ride the pine. I thought he maybe would have been elevated to a starting role, but he continues on the bench. So, good chance for Gareth Davies to have a crack because we haven't seen that much of him. Dan Biggar still there at 10. I think I said it's his 100th Welsh cap, so big congratulations to him. That's going to be quite a moment, and to do it as captain, something even a little bit more special. Halaholo comes in at 12. Tompkins is on the bench for this one. Remember, he missed last week with a bit of concussion, so they're not chucking him straight back in because he's not been able to train the whole time. So Halaholo is one of those guys who gets a chance, who's been, in the squad. I think he had COVID at the start of the tournament, so his chances have been kind of limited. Watkin still there at 13. Rees-Zammit comes in from the bench at 14. Josh Adams is still there at 11. And Johnny McNicholl comes in at 15. So there's no Liam Williams, there's no Cuthbert this week. So like I said, Pivac mentioned it in the press conference. He was just kind of looking for some fresh bodies, and that seems to be what he's doing. On the bench, Bradley Roberts is there, Wyn Jones and Leon Brown. So Leon Brown and Bradley Roberts will get a crack this week. Rowlands, like I mentioned, Moriarty's still there, Hardy's still there, Sheedy comes in, and Nick Tompkins, as I mentioned, comes in as well. So yeah, it's a bit of rotation from Pivac and the guys. I do feel sorry for some of the guys because, like, Will Rowlands is your top tackler for Wales. I think he's made like 48 out of 49 possible tackles. I think he's third overall in the competition. Like, the guy has been cracking, hasn't he? But he just misses out, so that's unfortunate. But Big Alun wins back, so you can't complain too much. Cuthbert as well. He's clearly been your most effective ball carrying winger in terms of like broken tackles and run meters and whatnot. But he's out for 23, but having Rees-Zammit start is certainly not a bad thing. So yeah, just a bit of chopping and changing. For the Italians, they've made a couple of changes, but it's not real wholesale changes. It's tinkering, if more than anything. It's Fischetti, Nicotera, and Ciccarelli in the front row. So that's the same one that played last week. Remember, they're without a couple of their starting hookers through injury and suspension. Fusa comes in the second row, so he's in addition to the 23 alongside Rutsa, which means Canone, who I do feel a little bit sorry for as well. He's dropped to the bench. He's been one of the top tacklers in the competition as well, been getting through a lot of work. Has Canone. Pettinelli, Lamaro, and Halafihi are the back row, so that's the same as last week as well. And Lamaro is the top tackler in the competition. He's missed a few, but pure tackles made, Lamaro leads from the front. He is absolutely the captain you want, who's just putting his body on the line as much as he can. Halaholo, I thought, went under the radar last week. Nobody was really talking about him. I think that's just one of the things about the Italians. Because they lose as much as they do, their players don't get talked about. But Halaholo last week was, put in a pretty phenomenal shift. He was overshadowed by Faletau's performance against France because that was the bigger of the two games. But yeah, Halaholo was really good. Brayley and Garbisi is the 19 combo, so that's the same as last week. Marin and Brex, same midfield as last week. Ioane and Padovani are the wingers this week because they've put in Capuozzo to start at 15, so that means Padovani shifts to the wing. It means Bruno is out of the 23. Capuozzo looked good when he came on. I think he played a bit of time on the right wing and a bit of time at fullback, so he looks like an interesting young player. I don't expect him to do the same as what he did last week. That'd be a bit too much to ask, but certainly a promising young talent. So he scored a couple of tries. We're hopeful to see a bit more from him. Bench-wise, Biji, Neymar, and Zeloki are the props. So Zeloki's into the 23. CC is still there. I mentioned Canone, Stain, Fusco, and Zanon. So it's a pretty stable bench. Just the two backs with Fusco and Zanon. All the rest forwards. So they'll be looking to front up with the old big boys. Stats-wise for the teams. There's some interesting ones for both sides, to be fair. I mean, Wales in game 1 against Ireland, when they didn't have their best performance, they conceded 4 tries, and since then it's been 1 against Scotland, 1 against England, and 1 against France. So yeah, they've really come into the competition since that first game, even if the results haven't quite been there. I know there's a little bit of the media sometimes getting a bit down in the dumps with that record, but I don't think it's all bad. They've only conceded points in the last 20 minutes once, and that was 6 points against England. So otherwise, in the final 20, Wales have been pretty much unbreakable. That being said, Wales concede more points in the first 20 minutes than any other team in the Six Nations. So coming out of the blocks is an issue. They're tending to work their way back into the game, which is not an ideal position to be in. They do have the fewest average defenders beaten, but most of their other stats are solid. And they haven't played Italy yet, which has tended to boost all the other teams' numbers. So it'll be interesting to see, once we've got all the games in the bag, where Wales stack up in terms of their attacking numbers. For Italy, in the first 20 minutes, they only concede around 7 points. But in the second 20 minutes, so the latter half of the first half, they concede just under 14. So like double the points in that latter period, which leads me to believe they probably tire. And it's the same story for the second half. The first 20 of the second half, they concede just over 7, and the second 20 just over 12. So, I mean, it's not universal for all the games they play. It just seems to be a thing. These guys tackle and tackle and tackle until they can't keep tackling the same way they have been, right? So, I mean, part of that's not having the ball and having to put in those defensive shifts. I mean, I don't know if part of that's just training fitness. I mean, every team tires if they have to go through defensive shifts, right? No matter who you are. That's been, proven time and time again. I mean, even in Super Rugby, the Crusaders got beaten the other week just defending for huge periods. They eventually cracked, so it'll happen to anybody. Only once in the Six Nations thus far has Italy managed to have more possession than their opposition come 80 minutes, and that was against Scotland last week. And interestingly, that's the one game where we saw Italy's best attacking stats, like the run meters and the run meters per carry and clean breaks and stuff. But it was also their worst performance for their tackling completion rate. So it's a funny one where their attack was at its best, their defense was, I don't want to say at its worst because they've conceded more points than that, but certainly they let in a couple of ones they will consider to be soft. So things that will be interesting for both teams to see how they play out. Recent history between the sides, it's all Wales. It's 5-0. Wales haven't lost the game to Italy since 2007, I think it was. So it's been a long time. Average score across the last 5 games is 38 points to 11. The last result was 48-7 in Italy last year. I don't think Italy have ever beaten Wales in Wales. I think the closest they've had is a draw. So it's not an easy place to go for the Italians, but they got nothing to lose with this one. Throw the kitchen sink at it. Wales has changed their lineup. maybe there'll be a bit of rust with some of those combinations, but ultimately for Wales, this is a chance for them to go out with a bang. So we'll see how things go. It is on in Cardiff. It's at 2:15 local time. Andrew Brace is the ref. Predictions-wise, it is Wales by 29 with the bookies and Wales by 30 with the rugby forecast algorithm. So we will see how things go. It is on the BBC. If you want to watch this one and any of the games this weekend on the BBC or ITV or France 2 or Virgin Media from Ireland or whatever it is, and you're outside any of the UK, Ireland, France territories, you can use a VPN. Pretty straightforward, but I'll put a link down in the description for that. And if you guys want British and Irish Lions gear, I'll put a link down in the description for that. They're still having a sale on their gear as well. So yes, you guys take care of yourselves. Let me know how you think this one is going to go. And I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.